Do you ever feel like you're operating on a different wavelength? While the conversation around you is about weekend plans, your mind is miles away, picking apart an idea or wondering about the deeper meaning of it all. You've probably been told you think too much or that you're too serious. But what if that feeling of being too much is actually a sign that you're wired for something more? This is for anyone who has ever felt different, because the science behind your mind shows that your tendency for deep introspection isn't a flaw, it's a gift. Many deep thinkers carry a quiet, persistent ache, the feeling of being fundamentally misunderstood. It's not some dramatic, movie-like pain, but more of a subtle, wearying friction against the world. You feel it in conversations that barely scratch the surface, at social events where you have to consciously filter your thoughts just to join in, and in the silence of your own company, where you wonder if anyone else sees the world with the same overwhelming complexity and color. This isn't arrogance. It's a profound sense of loneliness that comes from living in a different cognitive and emotional landscape. The world seems to run on efficiency, rewarding quick answers and fast action. But for you, the journey is often more important than the destination. You don't just want to know what something is, you need to understand why it is and how it connects to everything else. This drive can feel like a bug in a system that's built for speed. Friends and family might get impatient with your tendency to analyze every angle of a decision or to get lost in a question that has no simple answer. They see hesitation, but you see a necessary exploration. They call it overthinking. You know it's a genuine attempt to understand. This disconnect can be incredibly isolating. You might choose to be alone, not because you dislike people, but because being with others who don't share your depth can feel lonelier than actual solitude. The effort of translating your rich, nuanced inner world into a simplified, socially acceptable script is exhausting. It feels like being a fluent speaker of a complex language who is forced to communicate in basic, broken phrases. Over time, this can lead to a withdrawal, not from disdain, but from self-preservation. You retreat into your own mind because at least in there, you don't have to apologize for your depth. The pain is also one of awareness. Deep thinkers are often acutely aware of the world's inconsistencies, injustices, and sorrows. They see the cracks in the facade and the long-term consequences of short-sighted decisions. This heightened perception isn't a switch you can just turn off. It means you feel the weight of things more heavily. This empathetic overflow, combined with an analytical mind, creates a constant state of mental and emotional processing that can be incredibly draining. The world isn't just something you live in. It's something you are constantly digesting, and sometimes it feels like you're choking on it. You carry the burden of noticing too much in a world that often seems to reward noticing too little. But this experience isn't a sign that you're broken. It's the first clue to understanding the extraordinary way your mind is built. So, what if there's a scientific reason for all of this? Your brain isn't broken. It's just operating on a different set of principles. To understand the deep thinker, we have to look at the unique activity within their brain, the machinery that powers their introspection, curiosity, and empathy. At the heart of the deep thinker's psychology is a trait known as high introspection, which is the examination of one's own thoughts and feelings. While everyone does this to some degree, for the deep thinker, It's the default setting. Their mind is a lab where every thought and feeling is a specimen to be analyzed. This isn't just casual daydreaming, it's an active process of metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. You aren't just sad. You're observing your sadness, questioning its origins, and comparing it to past sadness. This creates an incredibly detailed internal map, but it also means you're often one step removed from your own experience, acting as both the subject and the scientist. Neuroscientifically, this is linked to heightened activity in a brain system called the default mode network, DMN. For a long time, scientists thought the brain just powered down when it wasn't focused on a task. They were wrong. They found that when our minds are at rest, staring out a window or taking a shower, a specific network of brain regions lights up. This is the DMN. Think of it as your brain's internal storyteller. The DMN is responsible for weaving together past memories, present feelings, and future possibilities. It's where we go to make sense of our lives. For many people, the DMN activates during quiet moments and deactivates when they need to focus on the outside world. For the deep thinker, however, the DMN can be more active and harder to disengage. Their background processing is constantly running, drawing connections and searching for patterns. This is why you can be in a crowded room and feel completely lost in thought. Your DMN is running a program so compelling it overshadows everything else. But an overactive DMN has a dark side. When it becomes dysregulated, it can be the engine of rumination and anxiety. Instead of productively exploring ideas, the mind gets stuck in a loop. The same network that supports imagination can also construct elaborate worst-case scenarios. Learning to work with this powerful network is one of the central challenges for a deep thinker. Deep thinkers are defined by an insatiable, almost painful curiosity. This isn't just about wanting to know facts. It's a drive to understand the underlying structure of reality. They're the ones who, even as kids, asked the big questions. Why are we here? What is fairness? For them, the world is a grand, interconnected puzzle. This relentless questioning is why deep thinkers often feel so dissatisfied with small talk. It feels like a waste of time, not because they are arrogant, but because it avoids the very thing that makes interaction meaningful, the exchange of ideas. They question everything, social norms, traditions, and ideologies. This isn't born from a desire to be rebellious, but from an unwavering commitment to intellectual honesty. They can't just accept a belief because it's handed to them. They have to take it apart and see if it holds up. The philosopher Immanuel Kant argued this ability to think for oneself is the very essence of enlightenment. This intersects with concepts like neuroexistentialism, which explores how our brain's awareness forces us to confront the fundamental questions of existence. The deep thinker's mind, with its drive for meaning, is essentially hardwired for this kind of inquiry. They are compelled to search for purpose and grapple with their own freedom. While many people can distract themselves from these daunting questions, the deep thinker's mind keeps circling back to them. This can lead to immense wisdom, but it can also lead to what's called existential angst, a feeling of despair that arises from confronting the apparent meaninglessness of the universe. When you see the vastness of time and the smallness of your own life, it can be both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The deep thinker lives in that paradox. Perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of deep thinkers is that their depth is not purely intellectual. It is profoundly emotional. Their minds are not cold, calculating machines, but incredibly sensitive instruments. This may be because for them, thinking and feeling aren't separate processes. They're deeply intertwined. A thought is never just a thought. It carries an emotional charge. An emotion is never just a feeling. It is subjected to deep analysis. This integration is the foundation of their profound empathy. When they see someone suffering, they don't just register it as a fact, they feel it. Their brain simulates the other person's experience, creating a shared emotional state. This allows them to connect with others on a level of extraordinary depth. However, this heightened empathy is a double-edged sword. It makes deep thinkers extremely vulnerable to emotional burnout. They can absorb the emotions of those around them, carrying the weight of others' sadness and anxiety. They also experience their own emotions with a startling intensity. Joy is ecstatic, but sadness can be crushing. Because their brains encode emotional memories with such richness, past hurts can remain vivid for years. This sensitivity is often mistaken for weakness. They may be told they are too sensitive, when in reality, they are simply processing the world with a higher bandwidth of emotional information. This also explains their relationship with overthinking. When faced with a difficult emotion, their mind's analytical machinery kicks into overdrive, trying to solve the feeling, which can lead to getting trapped in a cycle of analyzing their pain instead of moving through it. This unique wiring isn't inherently good or bad. It shows up as a series of dualities, extraordinary gifts that are always shadowed by formidable challenges. Here are the paradoxes deep thinkers live with every day. The mind of a deep thinker is an unparalleled problem-solving engine. Where others see chaos, they see underlying patterns. Their ability to think in systems and connect seemingly unrelated ideas allows them to tackle complex challenges with a unique grace. They are the strategists and innovators who don't just find a solution, but find the right solution. This is because their thinking isn't linear, it's multidimensional. They can hold multiple, even conflicting perspectives in their mind at once, which allows them to navigate nuance and ambiguity in a way that's inaccessible to a mind seeking a quick, black and white answer. However, the same mental machinery that produces these brilliant insights can also grind to a screeching halt. This is the challenge of analysis paralysis. Because the deep thinker can see every possibility and every potential pitfall, they can become completely overwhelmed. A simple choice, like which job to accept, can balloon into a monumental task of weighing endless variables. This is the difference between deep thinking and overthinking. Deep thinking is a reflective process that leads to insight. Overthinking is an anxiety-fueled process that leads to indecision. The deep thinker gets trapped, fearing that making the wrong choice is a catastrophic failure. The gift of seeing everything can become the curse of being unable to choose anything. One of the most profound gifts of the deep thinker is their rich inner world. Their mind is a universe in itself, filled with sprawling landscapes of imagination and intricate cathedrals of thought. They are never truly bored because they carry an endless source of stimulation within them. This inner richness is the wellspring of their creativity. Solitude for them is not emptiness. It is an opportunity to explore this inner cosmos. Their internal life is not an escape from reality, but an enhancement of it. The shadow side of this vibrant inner world is the relentless experience of mental noise. The deep thinker's mind doesn't have an off switch. The thoughts and analyses are a constant stream, a 24/7 broadcast that can be impossible to silence. This mental clutter can lead to chronic stress and a feeling of being mentally besieged. The same introspective tendency that leads to self-awareness can turn into painful rumination, where the mind endlessly picks at old wounds. This is why deep thinkers have such a critical need for solitude. It's not just a preference, it's a necessity. They need time and space away from external stimulation to sort through the immense amount of data their own mind is generating. When a deep thinker lets someone into their world, they offer a connection of profound depth and loyalty. They aren't interested in a wide network of casual acquaintances. They crave a small number of authentic, meaningful relationships. Because they have spent so much time mapping their own inner world, they have an incredible capacity to understand the inner world of others. They listen with their full being, not just to the words being said, but to the emotions behind them. To be loved by a deep thinker is to be truly seen. Yet, this very capacity for depth is what so often leads to their social alienation. In a world that often operates on superficial pleasantries, the deep thinker can feel like a foreigner speaking a different language. Engaging in conversations about trivial matters feels like a betrayal of their own nature. This can make them appear aloof or socially awkward. As the psychologist Carl Jung noted, highly introspective individuals are prone to isolation because their thoughts don't flow easily with the crowd. They are often forced to choose between the pain of inauthentic connection and the pain of solitude. Many ultimately choose solitude, not because they are antisocial, but because being with people who make them feel lonely is a far worse fate. Deep thinkers possess a powerful internal compass. Through their constant introspection, they forge a strong set of personal values and a clear sense of self. This gives them an unwavering commitment to authenticity. They would rather stand alone in their truth than be accepted for a lie. This makes them people of immense integrity. They are the reformers, the artists, and the leaders who dare to challenge the status quo because their choices are aligned with their inner purpose, not with society's expectations. However, living authentically in a world that often rewards conformity creates constant existential friction. Their tendency to question everything can be perceived as disruptive or negative. They are the ones who point out that the emperor has no clothes, a truth that many people are not comfortable hearing. This can lead to them being marginalized or labeled as difficult. Furthermore, their internal journey forces them to grapple with life's hardest questions head-on: the nature of mortality, the search for meaning, the burden of freedom. This can create a chasm of understanding between them and the rest of the world. The gift of living an examined life, as Socrates championed, is that it is rich with meaning. The challenge is that it is often a lonely path, one that requires immense courage to walk. If you've recognized yourself in this journey, you might be asking, what now? The world might tell you to stop overthinking or lighten up, as if you're something to be fixed. But the path forward for a deep thinker isn't about fixing, it's about embracing. The goal is not to silence your mind, but to learn how to harmonize with it. It's not about becoming less of who you are, but about becoming more skillfully yourself. The first step is a shift in perspective. Your depth is not a burden. It is your greatest asset. It is the source of your wisdom, creativity, and empathy. The world doesn't need another person who skims the surface. It needs people willing to go deep, to solve complex problems, create meaningful art, and build authentic relationships. Stop seeing your mind as a problem and start seeing it as an instrument to be mastered. This involves developing practical ways to manage the challenges. To counter analysis paralysis, learn to distinguish between productive reflection and destructive rumination. This could mean setting time limits for decisions or practicing mindfulness to ground yourself in the present moment. The goal is to make an informed decision, not an infallible one. To manage mental noise, consciously cultivate stillness. Schedule solitude as you would any important appointment. It's during these quiet times that your mind can process and rest. This could be through meditation, long walks in nature, or journaling. Learn to be a gatekeeper for your attention. Your mental energy is a precious resource. Spend it on what nourishes you, not what drains you. To combat social alienation, seek out your tribe. They are out there, other deep thinkers who are just as hungry for authentic connection as you are. You may find them in book clubs, discussion groups, or creative workshops. Stop trying to fit in everywhere and focus on finding the few places where you truly belong. And when engaging with the wider world, learn the art of translation. You don't have to sacrifice your depth, but you can learn to communicate your complex ideas in simple, accessible ways. Ultimately, the journey of the deep thinker is one of integration. It's about learning to hold the tension of the opposites, to be both analytical and emotional, to embrace both solitude and connection, and to see both the beauty and the pain of the world without being destroyed by either. It's about accepting that you may never have all the answers, and that the richness of life is found not in certainty, but in the courage to live in the questions. Your depth is not a burden to be carried. It is a light to be shared. The world is noisy and fast, and it needs your slowness, your thoughtfulness, and your quiet wisdom. So do not be ashamed of your complexity or apologize for your intensity. Your brilliant, beautiful, and profound mind has a place in this world. What is the hardest and best part of being a deep thinker? Share your experience in the comments below. We read everyone. And if this journey resonated with you, subscribe for more content that explores the depths of the human experience.